Hello, I'm elgraney, admin on Olympia RPG Minecraft server, and I'm here today with the server owner, Sam. Hello.
Hello.
Great. So today what we're going to do is we're going to quickly go through an overview of our new server and everything that's changed from previous iterations. So Sam, for perhaps someone who hasn't heard of Olympia RPG before, can you give a quick overview of what our server's all about?
Yes, well, it's just a standard Towny server, but on top of that, we've got our own custom world, which has got custom biomes, which is much more interesting than the default Minecraft world. And I've created a custom RPG class system, which adds a lot to the game's combat and allows you to choose between quite a few classes now, each with 6 abilities. Which are pretty fun and pretty to play with.
Yeah, it's quite an in-depth system by now. It reminds me a lot about, it's very similar to the Skyrim sort of class system with all the different abilities that you can spec into. Yeah, it's quite interesting in that sense. And our map is pretty huge. We've got, as Sam said, custom biomes, and the map itself is it's very, very big at this stage. How many kilometers was it?
30 kilometers by 30 kilometers.
Yeah, not bad at all. So there's plenty of space to set up your own town wherever without being bothered, or you can cozy in together and fight each other for space. Depends what you want to do, really. So we've been doing this for quite a while now, haven't we, Sam? This is not the first server we've made.
No, not at all.
So we've done previous versions of Olympia RPG, each of which have been getting progressively better. This is partly because Sam here, his skill as a programmer and server owner has been exponentially increasing, I'd say, to the point now where his custom plugins are pretty impressive. And that's what we're going to be bringing out on our new iteration, which should be very interesting for you guys, hopefully.
Yes, hopefully the plugins I've developed will make us a little bit different from just the standard Towny server, because there are lots of Towny servers around. Hopefully having custom plugins and having this slightly more interesting system will make us stand out.
Yeah, with luck, with luck. So some of the new things that we have in Olympia RPG, let's go through these. We have new classes that we mentioned earlier. I can't list them off the top of my head, but Sam?
Well, we've got the Vanguard, which is your archetypal warrior. It has lots of burst damage abilities, as well as one strange ability which gives you a player's health when you kill them. So you get healed.
Sort of like an absorb life drain.
Yes, like sort of a life drain.
Yes. Like Reaper from Overwatch. There we go.
I'll take your word for it. And then we've got the Occultist, who is sort of a weird necromancer character. His abilities mainly are damage over time, or AoE damage over time. So the idea of the Occultist is to just get that damage over time on somebody and keep it there for as long as possible until eventually they die. It's quite likely that you'll just you'll put your damages over time on somebody and then maybe run away, and then you might just get a kill because it hasn't worn off.
Yeah.
He's also got some nice abilities. Well, he's got one particular nice ability called Death's Grip, which allows you to sort of pull people into your AoEs, and they're going to get hurt. Then we've got the Huntsman, which is your archetypal Wildsman or Ranger.
Yeah, that's who I'll be playing.
He's got various arrow-related abilities, including one called Iron Hail, which just shoots loads and loads of arrows.
A lot.
One called Arrow Storm, which creates rain of arrows, and it looks amazing and sounds ear-destroying.
Hopefully you'll see in the background at the moment.
Yes, and he's also got a neat little ability called Ender Arrow, which lets you fire an arrow and you'll land wherever you'll be teleported to wherever it lands.
Oh, very nice.
He also is able to lay bear traps, which capture anything, slow them so that they can't move.
Including players?
Including players.
Okay, I can see some trolling that could be done with that.
Yes, it won't work in the cities, so you won't be able to just troll noobs with it. So then we've got the Engineer, which is a sort of a bit of a twist on the normal classes that you'd expect in a Minecraft RPG. This one has a frag grenade. It has a jet boost, which allows you to fire up into the air. A spring razor, like a sort of a...
That's a Dishonored...
That is a Dishonored reference, yes. Yeah. Hope that's not copyrighted. And that's quite cool. It also can use shotguns.
Of course.
Can deploy landmines and summon an electric storm to annihilate your foes. It's pretty fun to play.
Oh, the electric storm is insane, if it's the one I'm thinking of.
Yes, the electric storm is the one you're thinking of, and it's loud.
Very loud.
So then there's the Shade, which is your sort of assassin, your sneaky fellow.
Scoundrel sort of thing, yeah.
They can throw knives, they can dash, they can go invisible, they can double jump. And they have this amazing ability called Blade Wraith, which basically just sends out a spinning storm of arrows. It looks very cool.
Yeah, that does sound pretty good. Okay, who else do we have?
There are 4 more.
4 more.
And they're the wizard classes.
Oh, no one cares about magic.
Oh, I disagree. Well, there's the Warden, which has mainly wind and ice-related abilities, including a passive called Windwalker, which allows it to travel very fast and has jump boost. It has an ability called Blizzard, which is pretty awesome. It just rains ice and slows everyone in the range. A couple of other nice little abilities, including a nice mobility called Propulsion. There's the Warlock, which is a fire wizard. It has 3 abilities, which basically just set people on fire or burn them in some way, including one called the Burning Trail, which allows you to leave a trail of fire behind you, which does heavy damage to anybody who lands in it.
Kind of like a weird new take on Tron. Strange. Yeah, it's quite good though.
It's also immortal to fire damage and has an ability which I love called Pyroclasm, which creates an expanding ring of fire that kills everything nearby.
Quite spectacular and painful.
So then there's the Asterite, which is like a space wizard.
A Jedi.
So,
no, not.
Sadly not. No. Its first ability is called Aster Blaster, which
I still think is a stupid name.
If anyone gets the reference there, you're awesome. But that's basically just a purple projectile. It has a mobility skill, a stun skill called Stellar Burst. It has an ability called Purple Rain, which I quite like.
Oh wow!
And one called Singularity. Its last ability is called Singularity. I love this. It creates a black hole which sucks everything into it.
Yeah.
It is completely devastating in a team fight because everybody's in one place, ready for you to just fire all your AoEs on them.
It sounds so much like Overwatch again with Zarya's ultimate now.
Well, the last class is called Mystic, and it's sort of a woody wizard person.
A woody wizard person.
It's the healer, and it has an ability called Rejuvenating Downpour, which heals. An ability called Soul Mist, which is a passive heal to everyone around you. One attacking ability called Spore Patch, which creates an AoE poison, and a couple of others, including a stun. But my favorite ability it has is called Fey Drift, which turns you into a little floating ball which can fly around and hide.
Yeah,
pretty much.
It's quite special. You look like it's like you have a Nyan Cat trail and you fly.
A very green Nyan Cat trail.
Yeah, well, yeah, that sort of thing. Maybe we can add in the music to it to make it a bit more interesting.
Oh,
please
that would be
don't do
horrendous.
that. Okay, so that's the classes. Yeah, it sounds pretty good. It sounds very good. We've also got more new things coming through. Weapons, for instance.
Yes, each class will have a custom weapon that it can use. They will be staffs of some description for the wizards. I believe the Mystic has a twig.
Very appropriate.
Magical. The Shade has a dagger. The Engineer has a shotgun, as I mentioned earlier, and I believe a handgun. The Huntsman will just have a nice bow. The Occultist will have something called a polearm, which does heavy knockback, and the Vanguard will just use swords, shields, and axes.
That all sounds appropriate.
But it will be a special sword for the Vanguard of some description.
And each of the weapons work in a different way, won't they?
Yes. So, for example, the Warden might have something that does some form of slowness because it has an ice-based ability, whilst the Mystic might have something that heals allies and harms enemies. I think that was the plan for the Mystic.
Oh, great. That sounds great. Okay, moving on to the next thing that we've got. We have put a lot of time into building cities and populating the world with interesting ruins and places to visit. So for a start, we have, I think, 5 whole cities that we've built, including Bastia, Olympia City, Raha, which was from a previous version of Olympia RPG, if you remember it, Salor, Ilium.
You've forgotten 2 of them.
And Kranich. What else have I forgotten?
There are 7 cities.
Oh. Oh, okay.
So, as you said, Kranich, but then you forgot Olympia somehow. You forgot Olympia City,
Olympia City.
which has been reworked once again. A new version of Olympia
Yeah,
City.
I built the third version of it. Fourth version of Olympia City.
And then all the other ones you listed as well.
Yeah.
So you just missed one.
Good.
But there are 7. And then there are various smaller towns, including the Temple of Huanj, which is a ruined temple for the mighty god Huanj, who was banished to the underworld according to the law. The city of Cosbaston, there's the city of Krag, and then there's Cardor, which is a little sort of riverside port.
Yeah, so all of these things can be found in the wilderness. You'll be able to teleport between them, and they sort of act as hubs for players to visit, sell their things that they might have collected in the wilderness, and it's also a safe haven, so you can't be attacked when you're in these capital cities, which is going to be welcome because the whole world will be PvP forced.
Yes, all player towns will have forced PvP. If you don't like it, don't play.
Simple as that. Good. Okay, so we're currently working on it. We have plenty of more things to add to the server, and we're hoping to release sometime in July if possible.
It's also worth pointing out that although the server will be pretty feature complete when we release it in July, we intend to drop every month an update, which will introduce some new features and, of course, bug fixes, because there are bound to be some. And this will just mean that, firstly, it keeps you guys interested because there's always something new to come and do, but also it means that we can have some fun adding new features, which might be quite fun for you guys to keep
engaged in the server. A few things that we're planning, perhaps improvements on the cities, quests maybe sometime in the future, although that might be a big task.
Additionally, a little thing that I need to make sure happens in probably the first or second update is all of the chests in the ruins will start being filled with loot on a regular basis, which will be quite fun. And also, one thing that I'm very keen to get out in the first couple of content drops is events, and this would be large, powerful boss monsters appearing randomly in your towns, and you have to fight them out as a town. And this would just be various little things. Maybe if you're roaming through the wilderness, there might suddenly be a boss monster there, and various other little just events that could happen around, just spice up everyday life.
As well as this, we have additional plans for PvP, such as dark areas that could be added in a content drop, which could be very fun.
Yes, an area with lots and lots of loot, but which is incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, so there's plenty of ideas in the pot, and eventually, one day, they'll all be available for you to play. But for now, we're just focusing on getting this working so that you can get on, set up your towns, and start playing. Okay, before we go, there are some basic changes from the last version of Olympia that we just want to reiterate for any returning players. So, for instance, PvP is forced. I know previously we had a PvE world, and that caused lots of controversy. There is no PvE world, and PvP is forced everywhere apart from in cities. So that debate is closed.
Indeed. In fact, the point is, if you don't like forced PvP in your towns, you're playing on the wrong server.
Yeah. Okay, as well as that, we have made changes to the market system. Previously, we had a dynamic market, which I know many of you found questionable sometimes.
I know many of you enjoyed abusing that.
Yeah.
I remember when the cost of diamonds went below 50 gold.
Yeah, when dirt cost more than diamonds. That was silly.
Yes. Somebody managed to make cobblestone worth 200 just by buying all of the cobblestone.
Yeah. So this time we're going to have fixed prices. Make it a lot.
And harsh prices.
And harsh prices as well. Sorry, but it'll be more fun in the long run, hopefully. And finally, we have nations. So your towns will be connected to a nation. And these nations are one of the capital cities that we previously mentioned. And it's your choice which nation you go with. And there may or may not be perks associated with which nation you choose. As well as this, nations will be encouraged to fight with each other. So choose wisely, choose your allies and choose your enemies. That's all I can think of. Sam, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, nothing off the top of my head.
Okay, in which case, thank you very much for listening and watching. And we hope to see you soon in the world of Olympia RPG.
Yes, thank you very much.